so I lived here all my life. I was attending college and got acquainted with Kenneth Hershberger, and he wanted to farm, but he didn't have a farm. And I had a farm, so that worked fine. It didn't take me too long to quit college.
Where was it that you were attending?
Wichita University.
And so did he finish college then, or did he
No,
move out here with
he
you?
had been in the Navy. He had been drafted, and he was in the Navy. And he was home. He had been on Guam for a year. And when he came home, we got acquainted. Well, I was going to school with his brothers and sisters, and we got acquainted. He wanted to farm. He even had some machinery, but he didn't really have much of a farm. Didn't know where he'd rent land. So my dad had land to rent. So that's where I've lived ever since. We raised 4 kids, and they went to school here. They don't live here, but they attended school here. So I've still lived there. My husband died 7 years ago, but I still live in the house that he built. We built a new house, and I don't want to leave, I guess. I've lived there too long.
Nothing wrong with staying. So you said your husband wanted to get into farming. I'm assuming he did, and then
he did. He farmed the land, and then we had some land out at Bentley, and we had land out there. He raised registered cattle, and I raised 4 kids.
Did the kids help much on the farm?
Yeah, the boys worked. I had 2 boys, and they worked on the farm, but they don't now, but they did at that time. And I was community 4-H leader for 20 years, so we always had a good 4-H club. I was in 4-H when I was growing up, and so our kids were, and we had a good 4-H club when I was a leader, when we were different ones. Diane was leader for a few years with me. We had a good 4-H club. I spent a lot of time with the group.
So what are some other community activities that you got involved with?
Oh, church groups, and I belonged to a federated club, and we did a lot of community stuff, community work. I belonged to that for 50 years. I've taught a Sunday school class most of my life, so I've been a member of the church since I was baptized.
So you teach a Sunday school class. Is that with children or with
Well,
to any age?
Any age. I was in the nursery for 15 years, and then I taught the junior high class for a few years. Then I taught the old ladies class. They were desperate for a teacher, and they said, "Oh, you done Bible study. Why don't you teach our class?" And I said, "You're all older than me." In fact, a couple of them were my school teachers. But they said, "Oh, it's all right. You can be the teacher." So I was. Ada Plumer was in that class, and Ethel Arrowsmith. They had been my school teachers. But anyway, I taught that class for a few years.
Tell them about your interest in drama.
Oh, well, when I was in college, my major was drama, and I had taken speech lessons from the time I was 3 years old. So I was a comedian, I guess. And they decided one time they would like to do a melodrama at our church. And they said, "Would you be interested in directing a melodrama?" And I said, "I would love to do it if you'll let me do it." So we had play tryouts, and I ordered playbooks, and we did 10 melodramas.
Oh, wow.
One a year, and then we skipped a few years, but we did 10 melodramas. And I think everybody enjoyed them. They were a lot of fun. Diane was in several. Bob was in one. He said he couldn't learn a part, but we had the right part for him. He came in and hid under the tablecloth. So he didn't say much, he was hiding. Isn't that right, Bob? You came in and hid under the tablecloth. He didn't have any problem learning the line. There wasn't anything to learn.
So there's a particular show then out of all 10 of those that really stands out? I mean, whether it had like a
They
great
were all
cast.
crazy. You know, melodramas are just, the sillier they are, the more fun they are. And we use local people's names and local people's problems. And
What was the occasion when Bob Anderson
Oh.
dropped his drawers?
well, Harleen Skillen said she was a detective, and she came in with a gun, and she said, reach. And everybody on the stage was supposed to reach. And Bob Anderson was the villain. When he reached, his pants fell off. We didn't know this was going to happen. It was a surprise to all of us. He had worked and worked to get them hooked just right so that when he stuck his fingers through the thread and did this, pants fell off, you know. And the lady Carlene, who was standing there with the gun, she had a look on her face I will never forget. She was totally shocked.
As one would be.
The next play I think we did, the villain was supposed to have a strawberry on his arm, you know, a birthmark. And I very carefully, I did the makeup and everything. I drew a very nice red strawberry on his arm. Well, when he rolled his sleeve up, he had also found a green magic marker, and he had leaves and stems, and it was a real strawberry. We didn't know he was doing that either. We had a lot of crazy fun doing it, melodramas. We did one in the city, and one year the city had entertainment in the summer down in the park, and we did one melodrama on the gazebo. And it was one of those nutty ones.
All right, so switching gears a little bit. What's a story that you think you've told 1,000,000 times?
Well, when I was little and took expression lessons, I maybe was 3, maybe was 4, and I spoke my first piece at church, you know, a little verse for Children's Day. I stood up there and I spoke my piece, and then I knew how to curtsy, and I curtsied. Then I held up my dress and I said, new panties. New panties. Oh, Colby teased me about that for years. But I couldn't play the piano very well. I certainly couldn't tap dance. I took tap dancing. I couldn't do that. But I could say something silly, you know. I could do something that you shouldn't do.
Well, I guess my final question is going to be, what do you want to say? I mean, if you could say anything to anyone watching, what would you say?
Lots of luck. I don't know.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.